Listen, we are continuing in our series, Red Letters. We're only 2 weeks in. How many of y'all are already enjoying the series on the Sermon on the Mount? Are y'all having a good time? Are you enjoying God's Word? Is he stretching you? He is stretching me. Every week, I'll be like, Lord, I really don't even want to preach this one. Oh, my goodness. It's like every week, he just keeps coming with it. Matthew chapter 5 is where we begin. Matthew chapter 5, today, verse 4. Matthew chapter 5. Beginning of verse 4. Hear these words, these red letters, spoken word of God. Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this great church. Thank you for this great opportunity to sit in your word. Your children have gathered to listen. So speak, O Lord, like only you can. God, would you tune our ear to your voice so that we might hear you ever so clearly? Turn our hearts toward you so that we might experience the fullness of all that you have for us. God, it's to that end that I ask now that you stand in my body, think through my mind, speak through my vocal cords, those things you would have us say, know, and do. Father, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. O Lord, you are my strength. You are my Redeemer. Get glory in this place. In Jesus' name. Every heart said amen? Amen. Many talk about the Sermon on the Mount, and there are phrases that you will begin to hear as you listen to theologians and authors and speakers refer to the Sermon on the Mount. These pictures, these glimpses, these declarative statements that bring vision. They're countercultural. They go against what would have normally been seen or heard or said. They go against the status quo. As a matter of fact, every time you hear one, it's you almost want to scratch your head because the hearers that was sitting there would say, I've never heard this before. And he's introducing a way of life, a Christian, what it means to be a believer, what it means to be a follower, what it means to be one that is of the way. He's beginning to unveil this image and this vision, and he talks about this kingdom breaking in. He's announcing a kingdom, a new way of living. And many times when they refer to it, they will call it this upside down kingdom. Because you kind of got to look at it upside down for it to make sense. If you look at it and you compare it to other kingdoms that you know, it won't make sense because the hierarchy, the power, the influence and way it's leveraged for itself, this kingdom is not like that. This kingdom, you kind of got to turn upside down and say, I'm trying to struggle to understand what it is because it just goes against what we would normally say or how we would normally live. Blessed, full are the poor in spirit. It just doesn't make sense. Usually, poor in spirit, pouring out, that means you're at the end of yourself. And I don't know what you look like when you come to the end of yourself, but in the seasons in my life when I come to the end of myself, I didn't look blessed. I didn't feel blessed. And if somebody would have come to me and said, oh, Albert, you're in the middle of a crisis. You're going through hell. You've never been this stressed out in your life. Blessed. Oh, it make me want to bless you out. That's what it make me want to do. Like, come on, seriously. Like, who walks in the hospital room with a terrible diagnosis and says, blessed? It's not cultural. It's not what we do. It's not who we are. And then this week, Jesus adds on to it. He says, blessed are those who mourn. The very implication of mourning means something terrible has happened. I've experienced significant loss. I'm experiencing devastation. I'm discouraged. And Jesus says, if you've experienced devastating loss and you're experiencing deep disdain of sadness and devastation and despair, Jesus says, I look at you and I call you blessed. I got to turn upside down because I can't see that in my regular view. That makes no earthly sense. And I think it's important that we call out in church the stuff that just don't make sense. Because I don't want us just acting like it makes sense when we all sitting here looking at each other, rolling our eyes, knowing this don't make no sense. Blessed are they that mourn. Oh, I'm over here crying the ugly cry with a snot bubble coming out my nose, and you walk up and say, you're so blessed. What? But it's not for us to discredit it. It's for us to lean in and say, obviously God has a perspective that we don't have. Obviously he sees something about my circumstance that I can't even see, and I'm in the circumstance. So instead of leaning into my understanding, I need to see what God sees, because I could be standing in a blessing and not even know it. I could be standing and sitting and there's fullness available to me, and I'm empty for no reason at all because he desires to fill me. But there's a reason why, and there's an aversion to this terminology. There's a reason why we don't like the way he says what he says, especially we in America. There's a reason why, because we are consumed and we worship at the altar of our comfort. And we idolize comfort so much so that as soon as we see anything coming on the horizon that doesn't look like pleasure or comfort, our anxiety goes through the roof and our faith drains out like a leak. Woo, that was good. We immediately begin to see a bad diagnosis or suffering or a storm, and we have an aversion. We have an allergic reaction to hard times because, face it, who wants to volunteer and sign up for that? All right, we got some storms coming up over here on the left side. Anybody want to volunteer for storms? Anybody want to sign up for trials? Oh, what about tribulations? We ain't got no sign-ups. Anybody want to sign up for tribulation? But here's the thing, we've got to pay attention to this because God is saying that's the very place where you find your greatest blessing. That is the greatest place. Well, and we know this. Look back over your life. The times when you were closest to God were in the times when you were carrying your heaviest burden. The time you prayed the most was when the storm was raging the most. Come on, so it's not rocket science. Look back over last semester, you almost lost your mind. You was closer to Jesus than you ever have been before in your life. You was praying more, you was reading your Bible, your mama was freaking out. What you doing up so early? Oh, I'm just studying the word. Oh, Jesus, what's going on with you? You flunking out, ain't you? People can tell, girl, you ain't come to the club last night. No, I went to life group. What's wrong? Something must be wrong. Is somebody sick or something? You get something? Because we all inevitably know it's true. When the storm rages, we cling to the hand of God. So he says, blessed are they that mourn. Here's the reality. Here's the implication. The implication is suffering is a part of the Christian reality. Trials, it's a part of the Christian reality. Hard times are part of the Christian reality. So will we stop freaking out every time a storm comes as though heaven is in crisis? It's a part of your story. Now we got to be careful because there's an off-brand of Christianity that's out there, and there are churches all around, and there are speakers and books and platforms all around that are telling you the opposite message. Telling you life is about you, maximizing your every opportunity and living your best life now and go on and do you, and you can do anything you want to do. No, you can't. You cannot do anything you want to do. Stop believing that lie. We need to stop lying to each other. And let's not make church a place where we lie to each other. Girl, all you got to do is put your faith in it and commit and work hard, get up early, invest. No, what? I want to be a NBA star. Now, what I got to do that? I'm telling you, I can go outside and shoot jump shots all day. It ain't happening. I ain't dunking no basketball. I'm 42. I ain't dunking. I don't care how much your book tell me I can be my best whatever. I can watch the game, but I can't be in the game. Come on, let's just be honest. But then you bring this stuff and you apply this stuff to God. And some of you, we are frustrated with God and we are angry with God when burdens and storms and suffering happens. When terrible things happen. Listen, most people when they walk from God, it's because something bad has happened and they can't explain it. And then they'll say, how can a good God allow something so bad to happen? And they use that as an exit strategy to leave faith. Here's the problem. Some of us are standing on promises that God never made. He never said that. He never told you you wouldn't go through hard times. He never told, as a matter of fact, he told you you would go through hard times. He didn't say, James says, it's not if you have trials, it's when you have trials. And he warned you about this world. He told you, don't lay up treasures in this world because thieves will come and they will take it, they will rob you, they will leave you undone. Don't you put your trust in this world. You better put your trust in Jesus, which is outside of this world. You are living to live again. This ain't your home. You just a pilgrim journeying through this barren land. And he warned you. He said the things of this world are temporal. They will fade away. So when the relationship faded away and it caught you off guard and now you all discouraged and depressed because somebody left you, he says, I told you. When the money leaves and your job leaves, God, how can you let this happen to me? He says, I warned you. I told you it was going to happen. You think you're going to have that money forever? You think you're going to have it for the rest of your life? One day you will leave this world and you ain't gonna take your money with you. Although parenthetically, there was this one man, he was so frustrated with his wife, he said, listen, when I die, he put it in law, legally, you gotta bury all my money with me. He put it in a legal document, she had to sign it, and he was shocked because she was fine with it. She says, okay, whatever, fine, take all your money with you. So at the funeral, they did it all, and then they came up to her and says, well, how did you put all the money in the account? She said, yeah, I wrote him a check. Wrote him a check for the whole thing. Now, good luck with cash in that joint, but he got all his money. I put it in his left pocket. God says, you will have suffering in this world. There will be hard times in this world. There will be trials. There will be devastation. There will be times when life will knock the breath out of you. And watch this. It's okay to be angry about it. There are moments when you will be frustrated with God, when you won't like what he said, when you won't like his direction. This is stuff we don't talk about in church enough. Can we just be honest this morning? There are times when God's plan is downright irritating. There are times when I want to roll my eyes at him in Jesus' name. But honestly, I got that old school holiness fear in me. I'd be scared. You know how your mama used to say, keep on rolling your eyes. Yeah, I'm going to get stuck like that. Now, although it's never happened in history, I don't play with Jesus. Jesus would be when I roll my eyes and I ain't stuck. It's like, what happened to you? I roll my eyes at Jesus and he done got me stuck. And now I'm walking around, all I can see is up. So I got to, I don't fool around with him, but there are times, come on, when someone loses their life. There are times when things don't happen as we plan. And we're angry at God because, God, you saw it coming. And it's okay to be angry. David got angry all the time. David was the most emotionally unstable dude in the Bible. Like David will go out to war and get beat, and he talk about his enemies. So smite them, almighty smiter, with your smiting hands, and they mama. Smite all of them, and they children's children to the third generation. Kill them all. Give them a plague of disease so they left toe fall off spontaneously. But nevertheless, God, you are sovereign and you are Lord, and I trust you as such. You know what I mean? Like David would just be all over the place, and then he'll go dance in the field with his harp naked, singing songs. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what's up, bro? But you know what I love about it? He's letting us know you can be real with him. He can handle your anger. You can look at him with a broken heart and say, God, I'm mad. I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at this situation. I'm angry. He is not intimidated by your anger. He's not thrown off by your anger. He can handle your anger. Here's the thing. Just don't get stuck there. You can be mad. You can be mad. And you bring him into account. But here's the thing. When you ask him the hard questions, you need to be ready for the answers. God says, listen, you can be upset. But when you call my character into question and put me on the witness stand and indict me, give me an opportunity to speak as a witness. Ask Job. Job gave him an indictment, and then God was like, you finished? All right, now I got a couple of questions for you. When I made the world, where were you? I'll wait. We got to be ready. God, one thing about God, I heard a preacher say this morning. One thing about God is he'll never overrule your choices. He'll never overrule. So as you mad at him about what happened to you, you need to take responsibility for the choices that you made that contributed to where you are. God, you got me in this jacked up marriage. It's like, no, actually you got you in this jacked up marriage. We didn't even talk about the marriage. I didn't even know Jimmy. I just met him the other day. I never heard of him. I've never talked to him because he doesn't pray. I don't know. You chose Jimmy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Listen, but it's all good though. You got some churches that don't question God. No, I question God all the time. I look at my waistline, I said, God, come on, why? But then real talk, Jesus be like, you know why. Like it ain't bad, like engage in the process. Here it is, don't get stuck. Because our passage says, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. It doesn't say, blessed are they that are angry, because they will be comforted. Your anger will never bring you comfort, but your mourning will. Do you understand what I'm saying? The reason why you don't need to get stuck in anger is because you'll never experience the fullness of the comfort of God in your anger. And it's not because his arms aren't open to you. It's because when you're angry, your arms aren't open to him. You ever been in a fight with your wife or your spouse? And you just, I mean, it's that argument that's at a high level. You know, I mean, it's like, and now such and such, and don't you say nothing else about my mama. You know what I mean? It's like when it gets there. You know what I'm saying? Because Rosa always talking about mama. No, I'm just kidding, babe. Relax. It's a sermon. I've got to be entertaining a little. But at the height of the sermon, next time you at that level of the thing, go try to hug your spouse. Like, okay, let's just stop. Give me a hug. Get away from me. Don't touch me. Some of y'all reciting it as I'm saying it because you just said this yesterday. Y'all doing good to be sitting each other at church. The ushers came and made you scoot down because you had this big old gap in between you. Because when you're angry, no one wants to be comforted. Anger is not a posture of comfort. And I'm just telling you, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad, but you don't get stuck there. Because in your anger, it's all about you and what you feel. And it's all about what you need, that rage. And anger, it's like being a 2-year-old. You ever see 2-year-olds? The most selfish individuals on the planet. Y'all call them the terrible twos? No, I got a more biblical articulation. I call them the sinful twos. Because you are just sinful, you little sinner. I got a 2-year-old, he almost 2, and I can already see the sin just coming out, just selfish, because everything he wants for him. And he doesn't understand the bigger picture of life. He wants to eat a whole bowl of candy. He doesn't understand the bigger picture. You will die if you eat all of that. He doesn't care. He's like, mine, give me, yeah. It's so irritating. It's so weird. 2 years old are so self-absorbed, and it comes back again when they're 21. 21-year-olds and 2-year-olds got the same self-absorption. Mine, me, I know everything now. Give it to me now. No, don't get all offended. I've been 2 and 21. I was selfish at both stages, and so are you. All I'm saying is, if you get stuck there, just know that Jesus isn't moved by a spiritual temper tantrum. Don't get stuck there. Suffering is inevitable. It's a part of our journey. It's a part of why Jesus Christ came, he himself, to save us, because he knew that we would need deliverance from this world. Mourning. For those of you that like to take notes, that was one section. It's called suffering. Here's mourning section, which will have 4 subsections, FYI. But here we go. There are 3 things that aren't included in the 4 subsections, by the way. There are 3 things that theologians talk about when it comes to mourning. Causes. As you look and canvass the commentaries and studies, like what is Jesus, when Jesus says mourning, what is he talking about? One, he'll be talking about the mourning of sin in our lives. It's when you realize that you're fallen and that your sin has fallen short of God's glory. And when the light comes on and you realize it, and true repentance comes when you feel godly sorrow for your sin, it requires mourning. I lied, and I shouldn't have. I slept with someone, and I shouldn't have. I'm consuming products to numb myself because I don't want to feel the presence of God and all the rawness and the realness that comes with that. So I'm numbing myself, and I'm living outside of God's purpose, and I'm grieving the reality of my sin. That's one. Another is grieving the evil in the fallen nature of this world. It's the point that I just made, the fact that we all will experience suffering. The fact that these bodies that we've had since our first breath will slowly over time betray us. The knee that carried me through many good days will all of a sudden in the middle of a walk just take a break. So, well, what's wrong? I don't know. The knee just decided to take a nap in the middle of a walk. Our bodies will just betray us. Disease and sickness will come. And he said that is worthy of mourning. The evil nature of this world and the sin and the evil things that people do that then affect you and I, those things are worthy of mourning. Ultimately, in the strongest sense of the word, he uses it in Genesis when Jacob discovers that his son is dead. He believes his son to be dead. It's the mourning that happens when we lose someone that we love. He says, mourning, it should be a deep sense of sadness that you're allowed to have. 4 things about mourning. Number 1, mourning provides a space for the brokenhearted. We don't get to be sad. We live in a culture where we don't get to be brokenhearted. Mourning is a space for you to intentionally say, watch this, I'm not okay. All the time when they ask you, are you okay? You always lie and say yes. I do the same thing. I'm okay. Mourning is a space that you get to enter in and to say, you know what? I'm not okay. And it's okay that I'm not okay. It's okay to allow my heart to be broken. It's okay to be sad, to be undone. I could usually find a way to give you an answer that makes you feel good about the question that you asked me. But I ain't got that kind of energy today because I'm mourning. And I'm not okay. I know the loss and the devastation happened 5 years ago, but today I'm mourning what I lost. I'm mourning the reality of my life. The divorce was 15 years ago, but it was still bad, and I still feel pain about it, and I still carry guilt and shame, and I need to sit in the reality of sadness and mourning. God says that it provides a space for you to mourn, and why is it so important for you to allow your heart to be broken? Why is it so important for you to sit in this space? I'll tell you, Psalm 34. Let me just read this to you. Psalm 34. Verse 18. Watch this. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Remember what we talked about last week? Poor in spirit, crushed in spirit. Those that are poured out. I mean, I ain't got nothing left. He says, those of you that say, my heart is broken. God, maybe I ain't angry. Because here's the reality. Your anger was just the surface emotion. You're angry because you're hurt. You're angry because you're disappointed. Most of the time when you're angry, it's rooted in the sense of sadness, because it's easier to say that I'm mad at you than it is to say, you hurt my feelings. I'm disappointed. And with God, it's easy to say I'm angry with you, but it takes a vulnerability to say, God, I'm sad at what your will is revealing to me. And he says it's that vulnerability, that brokenness, that honesty where he's close to the brokenhearted. He comes in close right where you are. He says to the crushed in spirit, when you're poor in spirit, he's so present, he's so palpable, he's right there. That's why he says you're blessed. Because right in the midst of your brokenness, I'm right here. In Psalm 56, it actually says, cry. Why? Because I'm bottling up your tears, your pain. I love it. T.D. Jakes says, God never wastes your pain. He never wasted. So he says, cry, the broken heart. These moments, they're not wasted. I'm doing something bigger than you could ever imagine. I'm doing something in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. Cry. Your pain is not wasted. Mourning provides a safe space, a space for the broken-hearted. Because he's close. He's close to the brokenhearted. Some of you are in here today and you're brokenhearted and you haven't even given yourself time to sit in it. I'm telling you, sit down. He's close. Number two, mourning creates a space for you and I to be invited in to provide comfort. I'll say that again. It provides a space for you and I to be invited in to provide comfort. God not only comforts, but he brings his children around so that we might comfort one another. When someone else is mourning, we have an opportunity, the blessed privilege to come alongside and mourn with them. So when you're mourning, you need to be ready to receive comfort. I'll say that again. Some of you are mourning, but you're not ready to receive comfort. You need to be open to receiving comfort, not just from God, but from your family of faith. At our church growing up, we would go to Sunday school class, and in Sunday school class, it was inevitable. Our church, we practiced this really well. When someone would go through a loss, almost every Sunday, there'll be a card being passed by in Sunday school class. And this is someone who's either lost a loved one or someone who's sick or someone who's just going through a hard time and we know about it. We'd show up, and the first sign that we were about to surround someone was a card. A card started coming in the room, and people would sign, people put money in it. One kid would take money out, but they got that worked out after a while. It's like, oh, you gotta watch him. And I remember you get in, you sign the card, and then everyone would rally. We'd get boxes of chicken and casseroles and stuff, and we'd invade their house and just show up with goodness, cookies and everything, and the hospitality would just be off the charts. We bring toilet tissue, because that's the thing that nobody thinks about. All these people in your house, everybody using your toilet, you're going to run out of tissue. Bring some tissue, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, thank you so much, you know what I mean? So we just show up and we just wrap our arms around them and just be there. Because when you're mourning, you should be comforted. I'll never forget, in the 7th grade, my mom had a little girl, my little sister. She only lived about 30 or so days. We got to see her. She was in ICU, and they put the camera on her little thing that she was all isolated in, and I'd go and just watch her on the camera for hours. I remember we buried her on a Saturday afternoon. One of the hardest days of my life, because I've never seen my mother cry like that. Little boy. The worst things you ever see. The fragments of your mother's broken heart. That Sunday we go to church, and I'm just sitting in Sunday school class, and I see a card being passed around the room. And I didn't even think about it. I didn't even dawn on it. I got the card, getting ready to sign it, and I realized it was for us. So instead of signing it, I just passed it on, and I said, I guess it's our turn now. So I rushed home and received comfort in our time of mourning. And it was a blessed time. I still remember as a little boy thinking to myself, we've never had this much food in our life ever. I still remember a macaroni and cheese dish that changed our life. We was like, who made that? It is one of the greatest times because we got to be comforted by the family of faith. Mourning provides a space for you to receive comfort. Don't miss that. That was number 2. Number 3, under this 4-point sub-point. Mourning should provide a safe space for you to mourn. Here, this is so important because here's the reality, and we need to admit it. We need to be honest. We need to tell the truth. We don't know how to sit with hurting people well. Because you know what? We say some of the dumbest things in earth when we sit with hurting. We don't know how to provide a safe space. You know why? Because usually we're uncomfort with their discomfort. And we're trying to do stuff, here it is, not to make them comfortable, but really to make ourselves comfortable. Because you're not okay with them not being okay. So you're trying to make everything okay, and you're getting on their nerves. They won't tell you this because they love you too much. That's why I'm here. I'm not saying that I don't love you, but I love you enough to tell you the truth. We say some dumb things, and we don't know how to just let people not be okay. I never forget, one of my best friends had a loss in his family. I was trying to get him to the movies because I was like, yo, we need to get out the house. We need to get out everything. So they just died the day before. But I was like, we need to just get out. And I had a whole group of friends. We were like, man, we just need to get you out. We just need to get you out. He's like, I don't need to get out. I want to stay here. I want to sit in the space where I lost my loved one. And you're like, oh, man. But our desire wasn't for him to feel better. We were trying to make ourselves feel better. Here's a list of dumb things people say. Y'all ready? Write this down. You show up in the space and you're like, well, at least it wasn't. Really? Are you about to compare my tragedy to another tragedy? and their tragedy was worse than mine, and that's going to somehow make me feel better because someone somewhere is suffering more than I am right now? Really? Is that what you're going to do? Or you sit down and you start talking about your mama. They lost their mama. You sitting there talking about, well, I remember when my mama. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about your mama right now. I didn't even know your mama. I want to talk about my mama. I want to talk about my loss. Now I'm sitting here, now you crying. Now I'm comforting you about your mama who died 5 years ago. You should be further along than that. My mama died 5 minutes ago. Can I have a minute to think about my mama? Do you see what I'm saying? We do this. Here's one of the big dummies. Well, the Bible says you'll never put more on you than you can bear. First of all, the Bible didn't even say that. That ain't even in the Bible. You made that up. Can you stop making up things that are in the Bible? What other things have you made up that aren't actually in the Bible? And that doesn't even make sense. Just think about how dumb that is. He wouldn't put more on you than you can bear. Everything that's on me, I can't bear. It takes Jesus to bear everything. I can't even breathe without Jesus. Are you serious? So it's theologically imbalanced. This is the worst one. This gets the golden award right here. No, two more. I got to hurry up. I got all that. But this one. Somebody that's sick. Before I came over, I was looking online and I called my auntie and she said if you drink some herbal tea and some lime juice with a toothpick in the side that's drenched in milk, it can get rid of the cancer that's in your brain. Can you not bring me your cheap prescriptions, your hood rich diagnosis of how my life could be saved as though I ain't looked on Google myself? Stop bringing people antidotes. Stop bringing people stuff. It's not inspiring to them. It's not encouraging to them. That's not what they need at that moment. Even if it's a good suggestion, wait. I had two more. I just got thought of another one. Hold on. I got one more here. Here's another one. Stop going over and saying, so now what's going on? What happened? Oh, you want me to take the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life and now regurgitate it all and bring you up to speed for the 50th time so that you can be well informed about what's happening with me? People don't want to talk about all the stuff that just happened to them. Number one, because guess what? Everyone that called them before you weren't original either. They asked the same question. So now they're having to say the same thing 50 times over again. They don't want to talk to you. Learn how to just show up and just be. You don't have to talk. People are sick, they're tired. They don't want to talk. Now they feel like they got to entertain you. And they want you to leave. They'll never tell you that. But they want you to leave because you don't know how to be okay with them not being okay. So it ends up being more work for them than you. Well, I guess God needed another angel. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. As if Jesus is up in heaven saying, what? Our angel count is at an all-time low. We gotta fix this. We don't have enough angels. So go pluck somebody's child from their bosom on earth and bring them up so our brigade of angels can be strong and mighty and ready for what's to come. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's not inspiring. Here are a couple of things you can say when you go sit with someone that's hurting. Number one, I'm not giving up on you. I'm not giving up on you. If it gets quiet and you need to find something else to say, I'm so glad that we're friends. You know why that line is important? Because there are moments when people are hurting that they feel like they're a burden. And you need to remind them, no, I got other friends that ain't going through nothing. I'd much rather be with you. Maybe you shouldn't say that. But it's a reminder to say, you're not a burden, you're my friend. And I'm glad we're friends. Take as much time as you need. Because sometimes they feel like they need to rush or go sooner. So sometimes it's good to just give them freedom to say, take as much time as you need. Here's one of the best things you can say. I don't know what to say, but I'm here, and I'm going to be here with you. Oh, that's so freeing. One of the sweetest things you can say is, I love you. And I'm so sorry that you're hurting. And I'm just going to sit here and love you. Just be. Blessed are they that mourn, for they get to be comforted by beautiful people not saying dumb things. Last one, under point 2. Mourning provides a space for you to lean. It's important for you to know that in your leaning, in your mourning, you don't have to be standing on sure theological faith footing. While you're struggling to have faith, it's okay to lean in your faith. You don't have to be all powerful. Sometimes we feel like we got to be really super saved and really super Christian and say all the right stuff. When you're mourning, you ain't got to say all the right stuff. There's some days you believe more than others. It's a journey. There's some days you're more whole than others. Time heals all wounds. I don't know, not all at the same time. Some days I go 5 years and I have a day where I cry and I feel like the wound is just as fresh as yesterday. That's okay. There's freedom for you to lean. You get to lean. In Mark chapter 9, there's a man who's struggling with his baby boy, with his child, and he's asking Jesus to heal his child. And Jesus looks at him and says, if you only believe, all things are possible. And I love what the man says. He looks at him and says, I believe, but help my unbelief. You know what he's saying? In the same body, in the same moment, in the same season, I can believe and not believe at the same time. And I would say that don't make sense, but it's happened to me. There are times when I say, Lord, I believe. And at the same time, I don't believe at all. Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. You get to lean. Here's the thing. Don't lean in anger. Lean in Jesus. What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arm. I have blessedness and a peace of mind, leaning on the everlasting arm. If you're mourning and you're going through a hard time, I'm telling you, now's the perfect time for you to find yourself leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. I'm leaning on the everlasting arm. Last thing I want to talk about is the comfort that we receive from the Comforter. He's bringing you comfort, and he's bringing a great exchange. A great exchange. Isaiah 61 talks about how he'll give you beauty for your ashes. He'll give you joy for your mourning. For your despair, he'll give you a garment of praise. I'm telling you, God in the midst of your mourning wants to bring you beauty, wants to bring you joy, and wants to bring you a garment of praise. But here's the deal. If you want him to bring his stuff, you got to bring your stuff. You got to bring the ashes, you got to bring the mourning, and you got to bring the despair. Mourning is necessary. You can't skip stages. If you skip over the mourning and just try to go from suffering to comfort, then your beauty will just be cosmetic and your dancing will just be a performance. And he says, what I want to do is a real deep healing and not some cheap patchwork to get you to comfort. No, you got to sit in the mourning. You can't rush the process. But here's the promise. Something beautiful is going to come from something really ugly. Something beautiful is going to come from something really messy. And I know it's hard to believe that anything is going to come from these ashes, but I'm telling you, God's that good. Something beautiful is going to come. It's kind of like this. When we were talking about this, Jason, one of our new pastors on staff, he was telling, he's like, Albert, it's kind of like composting. I said, what's composting? I never heard of that. And then he started talking about it, and I was like, I can see why I never heard about it. Black people don't do that. We don't do that. Not none that I know. I know there may be some out there. It's one or two. I see y'all. Y'all been in California a long time. Here's what it is. Anybody, y'all know what composting is? Pasadena and Huntington Drive, y'all know what composting is? Didn't nobody tell me about this? Listen, it's when you take your waste and you don't throw it away, but you gather it in this container. And you allow the waste. And when I talk about waste, I mean waste in the truest sense of the word. Waste. Smelly waste, messy waste. And what happens is that with all of your stuff, it begins to decompose. And it smells like what it sounds like. And then watch this. Then Jason said, you gotta do this. You gotta stir it. You gotta engage in the mess. You gotta stir it up. Because it helps with the decomposing process. Because what will happen is this stench, this funk, this mess, this waste will become fertilizer. And you can actually put seeds and something beautiful will grow out. If God can do it with soil, you can't tell me he won't do it with your soul. Joseph Scriven, Belfast, Ireland, 1844, graduated from university. Most exciting day of his life because he was about to marry the love of his life. They were being married the next day. 1844, they were meeting on the river. She's coming to meet her fiancé on a horse by the riverbed. The horse panics, throws her off. She hits a boulder in the river, unconscious, drowns. Joseph Scriven finds her lifeless body, kisses her face one last time as he then has to bury the love of his life. This pain would actually lead to a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. And through this pain, he became such a believer, such a follower of Jesus Christ. He fell in love with Jesus Christ where he would give himself over to ministry. As a matter of fact, ironically enough, his desire was to live out the Great Commission. I mean, the Sermon on the Mount, what we're talking about. He wanted to live that out. So he moved to Ontario, California. And in the community there, he lived it out by loving on orphans, widows, caring for the poor. And over 10 years, he fell in love again. He met this beautiful young lady. They set their wedding date. In the late 1800s, mid 1800s, she got a violent virus of pneumonia and passed away before their wedding. Joseph Scriven, through tears and prayer. Tears. He prayed and he cried and he prayed and he cried. And out of that morning, a year later, he wrote this poem that he sent to his mother. And the poem that he wrote after a year of grieving was this: what a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pains we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. God wants to do something beautiful right there in the midst of your mess. He wants to exchange your ashes for his beauty. I know it's ugly. I know it's bad. but he's good enough to still get glory out of this. In the midst of that, it's important, final thing, we got to have an eternal perspective. We've got to know that this world is not our home, and we've got to be able to see beyond where we are. We got to be able to see beyond where we are. Can I just tell you something? We're all going to die. Can we just, I think we need a sobriety check, and we just need to sit, because we become so intoxicated with life that we need to be sobered by the reality that we're all going to leave here. Some of us, too soon. But even the people that Jesus brought back to life in the Bible, you know they still died, right? Lazarus still had a funeral. His first one got messed up. Jesus came and said, oh, no, we ain't going to do that. Okay, we'll scratch that memorial service. But he had another one. We all will leave one day. That's why the life after this life is so important. Because we're living to live again, and this is not the end of the story. And sometimes we go too soon. Like Tim, I'm a mentee. We read the Bible together. We prayed together, talked about girls together. So I'll never forget the day I got the phone call that said he'd hung himself at work. I couldn't get out of bed. The only hope I have is that one day I'll see him again. The day Ricky's mom died, we were outside washing our cars, listening to Tony, Tony, Tony. And that's when the scream came from inside the house. She stopped breathing. Ricky ran in the house. I followed him only to discover him laying over the breathless body of his mother. And I'll never forget the sound of him screaming to the top of his lungs, begging her to breathe again. An image like that, that's the only peace that comes is knowing that one day I'll see her again. One day I'll see Tim again. We'll be in heaven, and I'll see Tim, and I'll give him a big hug. I'll see Jackie. Jackie will probably be over there praying over Peter, prophesying to Paul, because she's just the most holy woman you ever met. And that's what helps us to live. Onward to the prize before us. Soon his beauty will behold. Soon the pearly gates will open. We will tread the streets of gold. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. For his glory, amen.